I saw the most horrendous movie. Um, oh gosh, what's it called? It's the newest Ghibli movie.
Uh,
I didn't know they had a new movie.
I know what you're talking about. I've seen it.
It
I
was
haven't seen the movie itself, but I've seen the little advertisement.
unimaginably bad. I can't believe I'm blanking on the name. Um, I'm Googling.
There's like
Did it
trauma.
just come out this
Like,
year?
you're just blanking.
It's
on
very
when-
new.
Okay.
Let's see.
It was the newest movie by Miyazaki's son, who has directed
That's
two
what-
movies previous to this. And
Yeah, did he do Tales from Earthsea? Which I've never seen, but I haven't
He
heard
did.
good things about.
So he had the old worst movie of Ghibli, but this just the thing about that movie that was so bad was that
Earwig
it
and
was
the Witch.
mediocre. What?
Okay.
Earwig and the Witch.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
So like that movie, if you Tales of Earthsea is like a mediocre movie, which for Ghibli is disappointing because they're usually so good. His other movie, which is like Tales from Poppy Seed or something, is also it's better than Tales from Earthsea, but it's still like one of the most generic Ghibli movies. This movie is straight up one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. Like I couldn't even believe what I was watching. I could like honestly like even compared to some of the bad movies we've seen on this podcast, it was just so bad. So, first of all, okay, this is one of the ugliest movies I've ever seen in my entire life, which is crazy because Ghibli is known for like beautiful animation. But this is like it's 3D animation,
Okay.
which I guess they just can't do well. It looks like a computer game from like the 90s. That's how just like horrendous this looks. It's just disgusting. And the movie basically consists of the like so if you've ever seen Kiki's Delivery Service, right? This was just a riff off that there's this girl, she has to like work hard in like this adopted family. The difference between that movie and this movie is that in Kiki's Delivery Service, the first of all, the work is like as involves character progression. Like she is like learning as she does hard work. Also, it's not the entire movie is us watching her do chores. This movie, that is all that happens. And as they do chores, they talk about interesting things that are happening elsewhere as they do them. Like, oh, there's this crazy witch war or whatever. Wow. As you will watch her, like, and she doesn't learn anything, right? Like from the beginning of the movie to the end of the movie, she just basically she learns at the very end that she can. She has like these terrible step parents who are making her do all these chores, and then she's like, she figures out if she can compliment them, that they're just like really easily flattered, so that once she does that, they'll just do whatever she wants, and at the end, she's like a spoiled kid who just pulling the strings of her.
This is the character development.
That's the end. But like that happens at the very end. Up until that point, she is just doing work, like like a really ugly room, like a witch room that just looks horrendous again. And then it's so bad. And then the ending is also one of the most just baffling endings I've ever seen. So nowhere in the entire movie, right, at every point is she like looking for her mom because she's an orphan, right? So she's never like looking for her mom or like talking about how she misses her mom, right? So it has nothing to do with anything in the movie.
Okay.
But in the very end, there's like a doorbell rings. She opens the door, and it's like, it's her mother. The end. Why? Like, what did that have to do with anything? Like, it was just so. Like, oh man, I can't. It's just so horrendous. No one should ever watch it. It's not even funny, like in a bad movie kind of way. It's just bad. Like everything about it is just so bad. I like the last. I can't even remember the last time I've been like this upset about a movie. Like maybe The Hobbit. Podcast. I'll have to go by how much I hate.
Funny you bring that up.
But
talk
this
about the
movie
Hobbit
was just
sometime.
awful. It was I hated it so much. So yeah, that was what I've been watching. A little rant.
Well,
What was it called again?
Earwig and the Witch.
Earwig and the Witch. Yep.
Even the name's forgettable.
All right. So, first things first. I watched a show that Braden recommended a little whiles back. This is the Midnight Gospels, which is pretty interesting. I thought that it would be just kind of a podcast, and then they were just animating over the podcast. That's what I had sounded like to me before.
It's like 80% that.
Yeah, and there is a big component of that. And so I was surprised that there was so much of a kind of a narrative progression in every single episode through the animation to what they were saying. And they even like sounds like they were dubbing lines just so they could tie into occasional observations on things that were happening. It's pretty funny often. But yeah, I really liked the whole series. There was one episode in particular that was talking about Buddhist philosophy and like a very interesting perspective on hope as kind of like an attachment to be kind of discarded in order to reach enlightenment, that I thought was very, very fascinating. So I've been thinking about that. I recently rewatched all of Lord of the Rings and The Hobbit right next to each other to compare the two.
Oh damn! All of them?
Huh? Yep. Well, it
Were
was
they
over.
the extended editions?
They were not. Which is honestly for the best, because I have probably seen the extended edition of the Lord of the Rings more than I've seen the non-extended versions. But yeah, the seeing them side by side really the more I think about it, the more like baffled I get. Like, these were the same, almost exactly the same teams working on these films, and then but one of them includes like a rubber bouncy barrel, like bouncing around and like spinning. One of them involves like a tiny little hobbit guy like throwing pebbles and just like orcs just flying off every time they hit. I'm just wondering where it all came from. I don't know. I still think it was fascinating. So yeah, those are the two things I've been watching.
I think that's what makes me hate those movies so much. See, with Earwig, it was like, this is a Ghibli movie. I held that studio in very, very high esteem. So the fact that you made a movie this bad is like what upsets me. And the Lord of the Rings movies, I think, are some of the greatest movies of all time. And so to follow them up with something that I just is like a botched roller coaster ride of a movie for 9 hours is so like, it's migraine inducing. It's just horrible. There's a roller coaster on the waterfall, then the roller coaster with the gold, and the roller coaster with the wolves, and everything is just like, whoa, what are we doing? It's like camera shaking, like we don't know. Are we gonna? It's just all so stupid. Like the entire whole.
I kind of like that scene.
Yeah.
But well, I like the scene in the same way that I think that I like Wonder Woman 1984. Like, it's fine. I'm not saying it's like great, like it's like it's beautiful or anything, but it does make me smile.
But yeah, that's
we might have to go more in depth with these movies sometime. I don't know. It's been forever since I've seen them, though.
It's actually been several years since I've seen the Hobbit movies too. Actually, I've only seen them in theaters, so I haven't seen them since.
Well, I watched and this was based off of Red Letter Media's recommendation, because they put out a video on this, but I watched The Kid Detective, which is fantastic. I loved it. So it's about a guy who, when he was a kid, was a detective. He solved a lot of mysteries and was well known for that, but now he's older. He's kind of like, he's just not getting anywhere. Like, he's solving like dumb stuff like a woman's like, "Hey, can you find my cat?" Whatever. So just he's not really getting anywhere, but he's still playing the detective shtick. But then someone comes to him to solve a murder, and that's kind of the direction the movie takes. I think you could get away with calling it a dark comedy. There's a lot of comedic elements, but then there's also like some pretty intense stuff at times too. But this movie's like right up my alley because it has those mystery kind of slash noirish elements I really like. And it's and also the ending is perfect. It's one of those movies where like the last like 5 seconds I will always remember until like the day I die. But highly, highly recommended. The Kid Detective.